The emergency lights flickered in the underground bunker. Red warning lights cast long shadows on the tired faces of Earth's last defenders. Commander Tae-hyun Kim stood before a map table, his eyes hollow from 3 years of fighting a losing war. "Status report," he said, his voice rough from lack of sleep. Hyunjin Lee looked up from her communication station. Her dark hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, her uniform wrinkled from days of continuous wear. "Sir, alien ships have destroyed the last base in Europe. Australia went silent 2 hours ago." She paused, swallowing hard. "We are the last military command center on Earth." Taehyun closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face showed no emotion. He had learned to hide his feelings years ago when the aliens first came to Earth. The room was silent. 20 people remained in this final base, hidden deep in the mountains of what was once South Korea. 3 years ago, Earth had 7 billion people. Now barely 1 billion remained, most of them in alien work camps. "Where is Dr. Park?" Taehyun asked. As if on cue, the heavy metal door slid open. Dr. Jiwoo Park entered, carrying a tablet computer. Her lab coat was stained with coffee, her eyes red from working without rest. "Commander, it's ready," she said simply. The room seemed to grow even quieter. "You're certain?" Taehyun asked. Dr. Park nodded. "Pandora is operational. All tests are complete." Soo-hyun Kang, a young engineer barely out of college when the war began, spoke up from his station. "Sir, we should discuss this again. The consequences have been discussed thoroughly." Taehyun cut him off. "The decision is made." Soo-hyun fell silent, but his eyes showed his concern. Everyone in the room knew what Pandora was. Humanity's last hope, and possibly the most dangerous weapon ever created. Taehyun turned to Hyunjin. "Open a channel to the alien command ship." Hyunjin's fingers moved quickly over her console. "Channel open, sir." Taehyun straightened his shoulders and faced the large screen on the wall. For a moment there was only static. Then the screen cleared, showing the alien commander. The being called itself a Vaxed. Its skin was pale blue with 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head. When it spoke, its words were translated by the computer. "Human leader," the alien said, its voice oddly musical, through the translator. "You surprise me. I thought all organized resistance had ended." "You were wrong," Taehyun said simply. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species continues to amuse me. Do you wish to surrender formally? We can offer good terms for the remaining humans." Taehyun's face remained hard. "I'm not calling to surrender. I'm calling to give you one final warning." All 6 of the aliens' eyes blinked at once. "Warning? Your cities are destroyed, your armies defeated. What could you possibly threaten us with?" "Withdraw all your forces from Earth and our solar system immediately," Taehyun said. "This is not a negotiation." The alien commander stared at him. "Or what, human?" Taehyun's voice was cold. "If you continue to fight this war, you will have to give a dangerous response." Behind him, Dr. Park watched with tense shoulders. Hyunjin bit her lip. Soo-hyun closed his eyes briefly as if in prayer. The alien commander was silent for a moment. Then all 6 eyes narrowed. "You have nothing. This is a bluff." "You have 1 Earth day to begin withdrawal," Taehyun said. "After that, we will activate Pandora." The alien's head tilted. "Pandora? Another of your failed weapon projects?" "You know nothing about it," Taehyun replied. "And if you're wise, you never will. One day. The choice is yours." He nodded to Hyunjin, who cut the connection. The screen went dark. Minji Choi, head of the base defense team, stepped forward. "Sir, they'll attack us now. They'll throw everything they have at this mountain." "I know," Taehyun said. "Get everyone to battle stations. Dr. Park, prepare Pandora for activation." As the room emptied, Taehyun remained by the map table. Soo-hyun approached him, his young face troubled. "Commander," he said quietly, "I need to ask one more time. Are we sure this is the right path? Pandora won't just destroy the aliens, it will change everything." Taehyun looked at the young engineer. 3 years ago, they came to our world. They didn't try to talk. They didn't offer peace. They started killing immediately. They've taken our homes, our families, our future. He paused. What would you have me do? I don't know, Soo-hyun admitted. But Pandora, it's not just a weapon. Dr. Park says it will tear the fabric of reality itself. Only in their home dimension, Taehyun said. If it works correctly. That's a big if, Soo-hyun replied. Taehyun put a hand on the young man's shoulder. We're out of options, Soo-hyun. We're out of time. Go to your station. Soo-hyun nodded reluctantly and left. Alone, Taehyun allowed himself a moment of doubt. Then he pushed it away and walked to Dr. Park's laboratory. The lab was a contrast to the military simplicity of the rest of the base. Complex equipment filled every surface. In the center stood a device no larger than a microwave oven. It glowed with a soft blue light. Dr. Park looked up as he entered. It's fully charged, she said. One press of this button, and Pandora activates. Taehyun stared at the small device. It's hard to believe something so small could do what you claim. Size doesn't matter in quantum physics, Dr. Park said. This device doesn't destroy with physical force. It unravels reality at a fundamental level. And it will only affect their technology, their ships, their homeworld? Dr. Park hesitated. That's the theory. It targets the specific dimensional frequency they use for their technology. But, Commander, she looked him in the eye. The consequences are unpredictable. This has never been tested at full power. Could it affect Earth? Us? It shouldn't, but I can't promise anything with absolute certainty. Taehyun nodded slowly. Keep it ready. As he turned to leave, a loud alarm filled the base. Taehyun rushed to the command center, where Hyunjin was monitoring the radar. Sir, multiple alien ships approaching. They're coming in fast. Min-jae was already organizing the defense teams. They're not waiting for our deadline. They're attacking now. Taehyun wasn't surprised. They're afraid, he said. They believe we might actually have something that can hurt them. Do we? Asked Yuna-oh, Min-jae's second in command. She had been silent until now, cleaning her rifle in the corner. Taehyun looked at her. We're about to find out. The first explosions shook the mountain. Dust fell from the ceiling. All personnel to battle stations, Taehyun ordered. Hyunjin, keep monitoring alien communications. I want to know if they change their minds. Hyunjin nodded, her face pale, but determined. Her hand went briefly to the photo taped to her console. A picture of her and her brother Junho, taken before the invasion. Junho had been taken in the first wave of attacks. Sometimes she still hoped he was alive in one of the work camps. Sir, she said suddenly, I'm picking up communications between the attack fleet and their homeworld. They're sending reinforcements, a lot of them. Taehyun's face hardened. They're not taking our warning seriously. Should we activate Pandora now? Min-jae asked. Taehyun shook his head. We gave them 1 day. We'll honor that, even if they don't. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. But be ready, Taehyun added. If they breach our defenses before the deadline, we'll have no choice. He looked around at the tired, determined faces of Earth's last defenders. In their eyes, he saw fear, but also resolve. They knew what was at stake. They knew what Pandora might do. The dangerous response was coming. Whether the aliens believed it or not, the final warning had been given. Now it was just a matter of time. The mountain shook again. Another explosion, closer than the last. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling of the command center. Hyunjin Lee pressed her headphones tighter against her ears, trying to hear the alien communications through the noise. Her eyes never left the photo of her brother Junho taped to her console. Anything? Commander Taehyun asked, his voice calm despite the chaos. Hyunjin shook her head. They're still calling for more ships. They don't believe our warning. Taehyun looked at the large digital clock on the wall. 20 hours remained until their deadline. 20 hours until they would activate Pandora, if they survived that long. Commander. Minjae called from the defense station. They've broken through the outer perimeter. Teams 3 and 4 are falling back to position B. Taehyun nodded. Their defense plan was working so far. Let the aliens think they were winning. Draw them deeper, into the mountain's tunnels. By time. Status of Pandora? He asked into his radio. Dr. Park's voice came back, tired but steady. Final checks underway. It will be ready when needed. Taehyun turned to Soo-hyun, who was monitoring the base's power systems. How are we looking? Soo-hyun frowned at his screen. Power reserves at 72%. If they hit the generators, we'll switch to backup, but that will only last 6 hours. 6 hours should be enough, Taehyun said. One way or another, this ends today. Yuna Oh entered the command center, her face streaked with dirt and sweat. Her uniform was torn at the shoulder, showing a bandage beneath. Report, Taehyun ordered. We slowed them at Junction 7, Yuna said. Set traps in tunnels 4 through 6. That should hold them for a while. She winced as she moved her injured arm. Get that looked at, Taehyun said, nodding at her wound. Yuna shook her head. No time, and no point. They all knew what she meant. If Pandora failed, a small injury wouldn't matter. I need to speak with everyone, Taehyun said suddenly. Call Dr. Park up here. While they waited, another blast rocked the base. The lights flickered, but stayed on. Dr. Park arrived 5 minutes later, looking exhausted. Her hands were stained, with something blue that no one wanted to ask about. Taehyun gathered everyone in the center of the room. The remaining staff of Earth's last military base, 15 people in all. Some wore lab coats, others battle gear. All looked tired beyond words. I want everyone to understand what's about to happen, Taehyun said. Dr. Park, explain Pandora one more time. In simple terms. Dr. Park nodded. She pushed her glasses up and took a deep breath. The aliens are not from our universe, she began. They exist in a slightly different dimension that overlaps with ours. This is why their technology is so advanced. It operates on different physical laws, she pointed to a diagram on her tablet. Pandora targets the specific dimensional frequency they use. When activated, it will create a cascading reaction that will spread at the speed of light, unraveling their reality. Will it kill them? Yuna asked directly. Yes, Dr. Park said simply. It will erase them. Not just the ships here, but their entire civilization across space and time. A heavy silence fell over the room. And us? Minjae asked. What happens to Earth? Dr. Park looked uncomfortable. Pandora is calibrated to target only their dimensional frequency. In theory, our dimension should be unaffected. She paused. But I cannot promise that with absolute certainty. The energies involved, they're beyond anything we've ever worked with. Soo-hyun spoke up. I've been thinking about this problem. All eyes turned to the young engineer. What if we modified the targeting array, made it more precise? We might be able to limit the effect to just our solar system. Dr. Park frowned. That's possible, but it would take time to recalculate everything. How much time? Taehyun asked. Several hours at least, Dr. Park said. Another explosion shook the room closer than before. Taehyun made his decision. Do it, he told Soo-hyun and Dr. Park. If there's any chance we can limit the damage, we have to try. He turned to the others. Minjae, Yuna, buy them time. Use everything we have left. Minjae nodded grimly. Yes, sir. He and Yuna left, already planning their next defense. The rest of you, help where needed, and… Taehyun hesitated. If anyone wants to record final messages for the archives, do it now, just in case. As the team dispersed, Hyunjin remained at her station, still listening to alien communications. Taehyun approached her. You should take a break, he said gently. Hyunjin shook her head. I keep thinking I might hear something about the work camps, about Junho. Her voice cracked slightly. Taehyun put a hand on her shoulder. Hyunjin, if Pandora works, I know, she said quietly. The camps will be gone too, but at least he won't suffer anymore. She wiped a tear quickly. It's better this way. Taehyun nodded and left her to her work. He walked to Dr. Park's lab, where she and Soo-hyun were already deep in calculations. How's it going? He asked. Soo-hyun looked up, his eyes bright with sudden hope. It might work, sir. If we can narrow the focus of the dimensional tear, we might be able to contain it to our solar system. And that would spare the rest of the universe? Taehyun asked. In theory, Dr. Park said cautiously. But we're working with partial information. The aliens never exactly shared their dimensional physics with us. Taehyun looked at the small device in the center of the lab. Pandora. It hummed, softly, glowing with that strange blue light. Keep working, he said. I'll check on the defenses. Taehyun made his way through the tunnels to the front line. The sounds of fighting grew louder. Energy weapons fired. People shouted. Something. Alien screamed. He found Min-jae and Yuna at a barricade, directing a small team of defenders. Status? Taehyun asked, ducking as an alien energy bolt hit the wall above them. Not good, Min-jae admitted. They're pushing hard. 3 more hours, maybe less, before they break through to the main level. We need 6, Taehyun said. Yuna checked. Her weapon. Then we'll give you 6. Her eyes were hard. Whatever it takes. Taehyun nodded. These people, the last true soldiers of Earth, were prepared to die for those extra hours. For a chance to save not just humanity, but perhaps the entire universe. Do what you can, he told them. But if it looks hopeless, fall back. There's no point in needless sacrifice. Both Min-jae and Yuna gave him looks that said they disagreed, but they nodded anyway. As Taehyun turned to leave, Min-jae called after him. Sir, if Pandora works, will there be anything left? Of us, I mean, of Earth. Taehyun looked back at him. I don't know. But if there is, make sure they remember what happened here. Make sure they remember why we did this. And if there isn't? Yuna asked quietly. Taehyun had no answer for that. He simply nodded to them both and headed back to the command center. On his way, the base shook with the heaviest blast yet. Lights went out, then emergency lights came on, bathing the corridor in red. Taehyun's radio crackled. Sir. It was Soo-hyun. They hit the main generator. We're on backup power now. 6 hours, Taehyun thought. Just 6 more hours. He quickened, his pace. Behind him, the sounds of battle grew louder. Ahead, the countdown to oblivion continued. Red emergency lights cast long shadows across the command center. The backup generators hummed loudly, struggling to power the essential systems. Commander Taehyun wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the base schematics. They've breached. Level 3, Min-jae reported over the radio, his voice nearly drowned out by the sound of weapons fire. We're falling back to position C. Understood, Taehyun replied. Set the charges as you go. Yes, sir. Taehyun turned to check on Hyunjin, who hadn't left her communication station in hours. Her face was pale with exhaustion, but her eyes remained alert, scanning the alien transmissions. Any change? Taehyun asked. Hyunjin was about to shake her head when she suddenly straightened, pressing her headphones tighter against her ears. Wait. I'm picking up something new. A different frequency. Taehyun moved to her side. What is it? Hyunjin's fingers flew across her keyboard, adjusting settings. It's a transmission from one of the work camps. Her voice trembled slightly. Camp 37. Taehyun felt a chill. Camp 37 was where Hyunjin believed her brother had been taken. Can you decode it? Hyunjin nodded, her face tight with concentration. It's a list. Prisoner numbers and locations. She swallowed hard. Sir, they're evacuating the camp, moving the prisoners to ships. Why would they do that now? Taehyun wondered aloud. They're taking hostages, Hyunjin realized, her eyes widening. They think we might actually have a weapon that can hurt them. Taehyun was silent for a moment. Then he asked the question he knew would hurt her. Is Junho on the list? Hyunjin's fingers paused over her keyboard. Slowly, she began searching through the numbers. When she found it, her hand went to her mouth. Prisoner 4723, that's him. He's alive. Tears filled her eyes. He's alive, and they're moving him to their ship. Taehyun put his hand on her shoulder, feeling the weight of what this meant. If they activated Pandora, they would not only destroy the aliens, but also every human in their custody. Hyunjin, he began. She cut him off. I know. We can't stop. Not now. Her voice was steady despite the tears on her cheeks. This was always the cost. Before Taehyun could respond, the base shook with the strongest blast yet. Chunks of concrete fell from the ceiling. One of the monitoring stations exploded in a shower of sparks. Status report, Taehyun shouted into his radio. Yuna's voice came back, breathless and strained. They've broken through to level 2. They're using some kind of new weapon. We can't hold them. Fall back to the final defense line, Taehyun ordered. Now. He turned to the remaining staff in the command center. Everyone to the inner sanctum. Move. As they rushed to gather essential equipment, Taehyun called Dr. Park. Where are we with Pandora? Soohyun's modifications are underway, she replied. We need another hour, maybe less. We don't have an hour, Taehyun said grimly. Get to the inner sanctum. Bring Pandora. We'll finish it there. The inner sanctum was the most protected part of the base, surrounded by the thickest walls and multiple security doors. If anything could survive the alien assault, it would be that room. Taehyun helped Hyunjin disconnect her equipment. She worked quickly, saving the transmission data to a portable drive. Her hands were steady now, her moment of grief pushed aside by the need to act. Got everything? Taehyun asked. Hyunjin nodded, taking one last look at her brother's photo before tucking it into her pocket. Let's go. They made their way through dimly lit corridors, passing wounded defenders being helped to safety. The sounds of battle grew louder. The aliens were getting closer. When they reached the inner sanctum, Dr. Park and Soohyun were already there, working frantically on Pandora. The device sat on a central table, its blue glow brighter now, pulsing like a heartbeat. How close are we? Taehyun asked. Soohyun looked up, his young face streaked with sweat and grime. We're recalibrating the dimensional targeting. It's delicate work. We'll contain the effect to our solar system, Dr. Park added. Beyond that, the fabric of reality should remain stable. And what about here? Taehyun asked. What happens to Earth? To us? Dr. Park hesitated. I can't say for certain. The energy release will be extreme. The security door opened and Min-jae stumbled in, supporting Yuna. Her left side was covered in blood, her face ashen. Min-jae didn't look much better. Get her to the medical station, Taehyun ordered, pointing to a corner where a medic was setting up emergency supplies. What happened? He asked Min-jae once Yuna was being treated. They're everywhere, Min-jae said, his voice hoarse. New type of soldiers, bigger, stronger. They tore through our best defenses like they were nothing. He leaned against the wall, exhausted. We set the final charges. That should slow them down, but not for long. As if to confirm his words, a distant explosion shook the room. Dust filtered down from the ceiling. How many made it back? Taehyun asked quietly. Min-jae looked at him, his eyes hollow. 7 of us out of 22. Taehyun closed his eyes briefly. More losses. More sacrifices. Would it ever end? Sir? Hyunjin called from her makeshift communications station. I'm getting more transmissions from the alien fleet. They're bringing in their largest ship, a command carrier. How soon? Taehyun asked. 1 hour, maybe less. Taehyun turned to Dr. Park and Soohyun. We're out of time. Is Pandora ready? Not quite, Soohyun said, frustration clear in his voice. The targeting is still off. If we activate it now, the effect could spread beyond our solar system. How far beyond? Taehyun pressed. Dr. Park and Soohyun exchanged worried looks. We can't know for sure, Dr. Park admitted. It could affect nearby star systems. It could affect the entire galaxy, or it could affect everything, Soohyun finished. Everywhere, every dimension, every reality. The room fell silent as the weight of those words sank in. Then keep working, Taehyun said finally. We'll buy you as much time as we can. He turned to Min-jae. Get our remaining fighters into defensive positions. Use everything we have left. Min-jae nodded and moved to carry out the order, gathering the few able-bodied defenders. Another explosion rocked the base, closer this time. The lights flickered again. Power reserves at 41%, one of the technicians reported. 3 hours left, maybe less if systems keep failing. Taehyun went to Hyunjin Station. What about the work camps? Any more transmissions? Hyunjin nodded, her face grim. All camps are being evacuated. They're moving prisoners to their ships. She paused. Sir, if we activate Pandora... I know, Taehyun said softly. All those people will die with the aliens. My brother... Hyunjin began, then stopped herself. No, I can't think about that. This is bigger than any of us. Taehyun put his hand on her shoulder. Your brother would understand. He would want us to save what's left of humanity, even if he's not part of what's saved, Hyunjin finished, her voice barely audible. Another blast, much closer. The security door shuddered. They're here, Min-jae called, raising his weapon. Everyone who can fight, get ready. Taehyun moved to Dr. Park and Soohyun. Keep working. No matter what happens, keep working on Pandora. Nothing else matters now. They nodded, bending closer over the device, its blue glow illuminating their determined faces. Taehyun picked up a weapon and joined Min-jae at the door. Nearby, Yuna struggled to her feet, ignoring the medics' protests. She took up position with them, her injured arm hanging limply at her side, but her good hand steady on her weapon. For Earth, she said simply. Beyond the door, they could hear the aliens approaching. Strange clicking sounds, heavy footsteps, the hum of energy weapons. For Earth, Taehyun agreed, and for tomorrow. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The first blast hit the security door with enough force to bend the metal. Dust filled the air. Commander Taehyun and the other defenders crouched behind makeshift barriers, weapons ready. Hold your fire until they breach, Taehyun ordered. Make every shot count. Behind them, Dr. Park and Soohyun worked frantically on Pandora. The blue glow from the device pulsed faster now, like a racing heartbeat. How much longer? Taehyun called over his shoulder. 20 minutes, Soohyun replied, not looking up from his work. Maybe 15 if we push it. Another blast hit the door. A crack appeared in the center, letting in a thin beam of light from outside. We don't have 20 minutes, Min-jae said grimly. Maybe 5, if we're lucky. Yuna checked her weapon one more time, wincing as she moved her injured arm. Then we buy them 20. Her voice was calm, despite the blood soaking her bandages. Taehyun knew what she was suggesting. Someone would have to go out there and slow the aliens down. A suicide mission. Before he could respond, Min-jae stood up. I'll go, he said. I can set charges at Junction 4. That will force them to take the long way around. That's a one-way trip, Taehyun said quietly. Min-jae smiled faintly. I know. He looked around at the remaining defenders. It's been an honor. Yuna rose to join him. I'm going too. You'll need cover. Min-jae shook his head. You're injured. You'll slow me down. I can still shoot, Yuna argued. No, Taehyun. Cut in. Min-jae goes alone. Yuna, we need you here. The security door shuddered under another blast. The crack widened. Taehyun turned to Min-jae. There's a service tunnel behind the medical station. It will take you to Junction 4. Min-jae nodded. He checked his weapon and the bag of explosives at his side. Then he looked at Yuna one last time. Make them regret ever finding Earth, he said softly. Yuna's eyes shone with unshed tears, but she nodded firmly. We will. Min-jae moved quickly to the hidden tunnel entrance. He glanced back once at the room, at the last defenders of Earth, then disappeared into the darkness. Hyunjin approached Taehyun, her voice low. Sir, I have an idea. She held up her communications equipment. I can broadcast a message to the work camp ships. Tell them what's coming. Maybe some of them can get to the escape pods. Taehyun considered this. The aliens will detect the transmission. They'll know exactly where we are. They already know, Hyunjin said. This might give some of our people a chance. After a moment, Taehyun nodded. Do it, but keep it brief. Hyunjin returned to her station. Her hands trembled slightly as she prepared the message. This might be her only chance to save her brother. The security door buckled further under another hit. Small pieces of metal flew across the room. Get ready, Taehyun told the defenders. When they break through, aim for their center eyes. That's their weak point. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The aliens continued their assault on the door, but it was holding better than expected. Suddenly, a massive explosion shook the entire base. The lights went out completely for several seconds before the emergency system kicked in. Minjae? Yuna whispered. The attacks on the door stopped. In the sudden quiet, they could hear alien voices outside, clicking and humming in confusion. He did it, Taehyun said. He cut them off. They'll have to go around now. How much time did he buy us? One of the technicians asked. 30 minutes. Maybe more. Soo-hyun looked up from Pandora, his face grim but determined. That should be enough. We're almost there. Hyunjin approached Taehyun again. Message is ready, she said. She held out a small device. I've recorded it. When we're ready to activate Pandora, I can send this to all the work camp ships at once. Taehyun took the device. What does it say? Just that danger is coming. That they should get to the escape pods if they can, and... She hesitated. I included Junho's prisoner number. Asked anyone who sees him to tell him his sister loves him. Taehyun squeezed her shoulder gently. We'll send it. I promise. A noise from Pandora drew everyone's attention. The device was humming louder now, the blue glow pulsing rapidly. What's happening? Taehyun asked, moving quickly to Dr. Parks. Dr. Parks' face was tense with concentration. The dimensional targeting is aligning, we're getting close. But something's wrong, Soo-hyun added. The power fluctuations from the backup generator, they're affecting the calibration. Can you fix it? Taehyun asked. Dr. Park nodded. Yes, but we need stable power, just for 10 minutes. Taehyun turned to the technician monitoring the power systems. What's our status? Reserve power at 27%, the technician reported, but it's dropping fast, too many systems drawing from it. Shut everything down, Taehyun ordered. Everything except what Dr. Park needs for Pandora. Lights, communications, defense systems, all of it. But sir, Yuna protested, if we shut down the defense systems, I know, Taehyun said. We'll have to hold them off ourselves, with or without sensors. The technicians moved quickly, shutting down system after system. The lights dimmed further until only the glow from Pandora illuminated the room. Power stabilizing, the technician reported, holding at 25%. Dr. Park and Soo-hyun returned to their work, moving faster now. In the dim light, Taehyun gathered the remaining defenders. They'll be coming soon, we need to be ready. Sir, one of the medics called. I have an idea. The aliens use sonic mapping to see in darkness. If we create enough noise, we could confuse their senses, Taehyun finished. Do it. The medic quickly rigged several medical devices to emit high-pitched sounds at random intervals. It wasn't much, but it might help. Distant banging sounds echoed through the base. The aliens had found another way in. How much longer? Taehyun asked Dr. Park. 5 minutes, she replied. The targeting is almost complete. Hyunjin was back at her makeshift communications station, using minimal power to monitor alien movements. Sir, I'm picking up transmissions from their fleet. The command carrier has arrived in orbit. Taehyun's face hardened. Once that ship is in range, Pandora's effect will reach their entire fleet. And all the work camp ships, Hyunjin added quietly. The banging grew louder. They were getting closer. Yuna, Taehyun said. Take 3 people and guard the east entrance. I'll take the rest and cover the main door. Yuna nodded, gathering a small team. They moved into position, their faces ghostly in the blue light from Pandora. If they break through before Pandora is ready, Taehyun told her, hold them as long as you can. No matter what happens, Pandora must activate. Understood, Yuna said. The room fell silent except for the hum of Pandora and the distant sounds of the aliens approaching. Everyone knew they had reached the point of no return. In a few minutes they would either save what remained of humanity or lose everything. Dr. Park suddenly straightened up. It's done, she said. The targeting is complete. Pandora is ready. Taehyun moved to her side. Are you certain the effect will be contained to our solar system? Yes, Soohyun confirmed. Beyond that, reality should remain stable. And here? Taehyun asked. Earth? Us? Dr. Park and Soohyun exchanged looks. The energy release will be catastrophic, Dr. Park said. I don't know if anything in this solar system will survive unchanged. Taehyun nodded. He had expected as much. How do we activate it? Dr. Park pointed to a small red button on the side of the device. Press this. The reaction will begin immediately. Before Taehyun could respond, the sound of weapons fire erupted from the east entrance. Yuna's voice came over the radio. They're here. Multiple hostiles. The battle had begun. The point of no return had arrived. Taehyun looked at the faces around. Him, the last defenders of Earth. Then he reached for the button that would change the universe forever. Weapons fire echoed through the inner sanctum. Yuna and her small team fought desperately at the east entrance, the flash of energy weapons lighting up their determined faces. Hold them back, Yuna shouted, firing with her good arm. 2 aliens fell, but more pushed forward. Commander Taehyun's hand hovered over Pandora's activation button. One press and it would all be over. The aliens, the war, perhaps everything. Wait, he said suddenly. He turned to Hyunjin. Send your message first. Give our people whatever chance they can get. Hyunjin's fingers flew across her console. Broadcasting now, she said. The message would reach every work camp ship in orbit, warning the prisoners of what was coming. How long will it take for them to receive it? Taehyun asked. Seconds, Hyunjin replied. But whether they can do anything with the warning, she didn't finish the thought. They all knew the odds were slim. Another explosion rocked the room as the aliens breached the main door. Strange blue-skinned creatures poured in, their 6 eyes glowing in the dim light. Taehyun and the defenders opened fire, dropping the first wave, but more kept coming. Dr. Park, Soohyun, get behind us, Taehyun ordered, firing steadily at the advancing aliens. An alien energy bolt struck one of the defenders, who fell without a sound. Another bolt hit the wall near Pandora, showering sparks across the room. We can't wait any longer, Dr. Park shouted over the noise of battle. If Pandora is damaged, everything is lost. Taehyun knew she was right. He fired one more burst, then reached for the activation button. At that moment, a new transmission came through on Hyunjin's console. Her eyes widened as she listened. Sir, she called to Taehyun. It's from orbit. Some of the prisoners. They're fighting back. They've taken control of one of the smaller ships. Hope flickered briefly in Taehyun's chest. Your brother? I don't know, Hyunjin replied, her voice tight with emotion. The message just says prisoners have revolted on transport ship 7. Another defender fell as the aliens pushed deeper into the room. Yuna's team was being forced back from the east entrance, fighting for every step. There's no more time, Taehyun said. He looked at the faces of the remaining defenders, tired, wounded, but unbroken. For Earth. He pressed the button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Pandora's blue glow pulsed once, twice, then steadied into a brilliant light that forced everyone to shield their eyes. The aliens froze, their strange heads tilting in confusion. Then they began to back away, sensing the danger. Too late. A low hum filled the room, building quickly to a high-pitched whine that made teeth ache and ears bleed. The air itself seemed to vibrate, rippling like water. It's working, Dr. Park shouted over the noise. The dimensional tear is forming. The first alien collapsed, its body seeming to fold in on itself in impossible ways. The others followed, twisting and shrinking until they vanished completely. What's happening to them? Taehyun asked, watching in horrified fascination. Their dimensional frequency is collapsing, Soo-hyun explained. They're being pulled back to their home dimension, but it's being unraveled at the same time. The sound grew louder. Cracks appeared in the walls, not breaking them but somehow making them look wrong, as if the angles didn't match up properly anymore. How long will this take? Taehyun had to shout to be heard. Minutes for the ships in orbit, Dr. Park replied. Hours for their entire civilization to be erased. The effect moves at the speed of light. Hyunjin was still at her console, tears streaming down her face as she listened to the chaos in orbit. The alien ships, they're trying to escape, but they're disappearing one by one. She paused, listening intently. Some of the human transport ships are launching escape pods. Your brother? Taehyun asked. Hyunjin shook her head. I don't know. I can't. Her voice broke. I just don't know. The room shook violently. Parts of the ceiling began to collapse. The very air seemed to warp and twist. What's happening to us? Yuna asked, backing away from a section of floor that was rippling, like liquid. Reality is becoming unstable, Dr. Park said. The dimensional tear is affecting our world too, just not as severely. Will it stop? Taehyun asked. Soo-hyun looked at him with sad eyes. I don't think so. Not here in the solar system. We've changed. Something fundamental about reality itself. Another violent shake. The lights went out completely, leaving only Pandora's eerie blue glow. We need to get to the emergency shelter, Taehyun ordered. Deeper in the mountain. It might give us some protection. No one moved. They all knew it was probably futile. Did we win? Yuna asked quietly. Did we save humanity? Taehyun looked at her. We stopped them. That's all I know for sure. The effect is contained to our solar system, Dr. Park said. If there are humans elsewhere, colony ships, deep space, missions, they'll survive. And the rest of the universe will never know what happened here, Soo-hyun added. They'll just see our star behaving strangely for a while, then returning to normal, with nothing left inside our solar system. The thought was both terrible and strangely comforting. They had saved the universe even if they couldn't save themselves. Another section of ceiling collapsed. The room was becoming dangerously unstable. We should move, Taehyun said, but his voice lacked urgency. Where could they go, really? Hyunjin's console sparked and went dead. She stood up, looking lost. It's over, she said simply. All the ships in orbit are gone. Taehyun put his arm around her shoulders. You did everything you could. One by one, the remaining systems in the room failed. The emergency lights flickered out. Only Pandora continued to glow, pulsing like a calm heartbeat now. Through a crack in the ceiling, they could see the sky. It looked wrong somehow. The stars were too bright, too close. The moon seemed distorted, stretched. Look, Yuna said, pointing up. The stars are moving. They watched as the night sky began to shift and change. Stars swirled in impossible patterns. The moon stretched and flattened. Reality itself was being rewritten. It's beautiful, Soo-hyun whispered. In a terrible way. Dr. Park checked her instruments, one last time. The effect has reached the edge of the solar system, she reported. It's contained. The rest of the universe is safe. Then we did it, Taehyun said. Humanity's dangerous response worked. They gathered close together as more of the room collapsed around them. The blue glow from Pandora bathed their faces, making them look otherworldly. I wonder if anyone will ever know what happened here, Yuna said softly. Someone might, Dr. Park replied. We sent messages into deep space before the invasion, warning buoys at the edge of the solar system. If anyone comes looking for Earth, someday they'll find those messages. What will they say? Hyunjin asked. Taehyun smiled faintly. They'll say that humanity fought to the end, that when faced with extinction, we found a way to survive. Not here, perhaps, but somewhere. That our dangerous response saved more than it destroyed. The mountain shook again, more violently than before. The room was coming apart around them. Through the widening cracks in the ceiling, they could see the sky continuing to change. Reality, itself unwinding. No regrets, Taehyun said, looking at each of them. We did what had to be done. They nodded, these last defenders of Earth. Around them, the world was ending. But somewhere far beyond their solar system, humanity might live on. Colony ships launched before the invasion. Deep space missions. Small outposts on distant stars. Seeds of Earth scattered across the galaxy. Pandora's glow began to fade as the device completed its work. Darkness crept in. In that final moment, as reality itself came undone around them, Hyunjin thought she heard a voice on her dead console. A voice that sounded like her brother's, saying her name. She smiled as the darkness took them. Somewhere, beyond the reach of Pandora's effect, a message traveled through space. Earth's final warning. A record of what had happened. A dangerous response that had saved the universe, even as it erased the world that sent it. A message for anyone who might find it someday. This was Earth, remember us.